community was relentless. And when President Trump was inaugurated the second time, he got his full pardon. And I think we learned a lot of lessons from that. I think Ross getting pardoned was a big oh shit, we can do this if we really put the effort in. I think this time around with Keonne and Bill, I think we sort of took the lessons learned from the success we had with Ross's pardon and began to apply that playbook more aggressively. I would argue over the last 2 weeks. I'm astonished at the sort of speed and veracity with which this campaign for you, Keonne and Bill, has really taken hold over the last couple of weeks, and it's highly encouraging, particularly considering the state of discourse in the Bitcoin space over the last 2 years, which has been heavily focused on number go up in Bitcoin treasury companies. There were a lot of people, myself included, who were worried that there wasn't enough care, or people were beginning to care less about the sort of cypherpunk distributed sovereign nature of Bitcoin. And I think the last 2 weeks for me personally really been encouraging to know that people actually do care, that the properties that made this protocol work in the first place are worth defending.
Yeah, it has been encouraging to see that. Absolutely. It's something that, I kind of thought as well that was dying out in this space. Kind of normal, more retail comes in. Bitcoin is a huge industry now. It's a lot of new people. So you're going to have some dilution of values. And a little concerning because to me, number will go up, but the value proposition is censorship resistance and peer-to-peer cash, right? To me, that's where the value lies. And if you're not highlighting that or focusing on that, then you're really not cheering the right thing, right? You're cheering number going up, but not why it's going up. And I was, I just didn't know about this community in this way, right? I was with you, Marty. I thought, they don't care, but clearly they do care, right? We're seeing so many people come out and support Samourai, and many of them had never even heard of Samourai, right? We didn't cross their radar, but they heard the story, they heard what went down, and people have an innate ability to know when something isn't right, when something isn't just, when something isn't fair, and they picked up on that and they recognize that, and I think it's very, very encouraging. I know we have a new person here, but I just wanted to respond to something Bob said a little while ago. So thank you, Bob, for coming. It's nice to meet you. You said that we need people to go on the front lines and push the line. You're absolutely right. That's how we advance as society and as an industry. We need people to push. So if I did that, then I think that's successful. And, and I think you're doing that as well in the mining community and with Ocean. And then the second thing you mentioned is something I think we discussed on Marty's podcast about Bitcoin miners. And you nailed it. You got that absolutely right. If what Samourai Wallet was doing is considered money transmission, according to the Southern District of New York, then it's impossible to really understand how miners aren't money transmitters. If we're using their theory, right? You're literally selecting transactions to be put in a block, which is broadcast to the network. The transactions that Samourai Wallet built, they didn't exist yet until a miner put them into the block, right? They were mere proposals. They were mere suggestions, right? So using the theory, which is wrong, by the way, but using the theory that the DOJ has come up with in this case, everyone's a money transmitter. Miners are a money transmitter. Lightning nodes are money transmitters. Bcash mints are money transmitters. Marty, you said your son might be interacting with an unlawful application. Using this rationale that the DOJ has come up with, they are absolutely using an unlawful application, right? The DOJ said that every single Bitcoin that went through our software was unlawful. Every single, doesn't matter what the source was or whether it was illicit, they used the term unlawful. And the reason they said that every single Satoshi that went through Samourai Wallet was unlawful is their theory stated that we were a money transmitter. And as a money transmitter, we had obligations, KYC and AML, because if you're a money transmitter, you do have those legal obligations. And because we didn't do KYC or AML, because frankly, no one thought that a non-custodial piece of software had to, but because we didn't do that, every single Satoshi that went through our software was unlawful. So if your child has not been KYC'd and gone through the AML process to receive his 5,000 sats, that's unlawful. And this is the theory that we're working with as per, SDNY. And it's very clear to anyone who's listening, I hope, that it's absurd. It's an absurd situation that they put us into.
And you mentioned it earlier about the insanity of the money laundering laws, the crimes that they created in the 70s and extended in the 90s. And Cedric, to your question about the strength of the community, I think honestly this is something I've been talking about for years. And I think when you and Bill are ultimately pardoned, it's going to be a long haul, and it's not going to be easy, and we're going to be thought of as crazy in the beginning, but we really need to push to repeal the Bank Secrecy Act. All of this stems from that terrible act that was passed in 1970, I think, and it's completely antiquated. It is the digital age. It doesn't work in the digital age. It was written in an era in the industrial age, and it was very analog, and it's not evolving with the times. And like you said earlier, it's just creating crimes, compliance cost, and a bunch of data aggregation that actually does more net harm than good at the end of the day. It puts way more people in harm's way by creating these data honeypots that are notoriously have very weak security, are often hacked. The information's taken, sold on the deep web. You have people getting their identities stolen, getting credit cards taken out in their name, getting bank accounts drained, all because all of these services need to collect this data and they don't know how to secure it. And it does not stop the crimes they're claiming that it should be stopping. I think the stat was going around, I think like 5 or 6 years ago, I think KYC AML compliance has stopped something like 0.1% of global money laundering since they've been implemented. And so it's completely ineffective and completely harmful to end consumers at the end of the day. It is a net negative, and we need to just own it. Like, this doesn't work, and we shouldn't have to live this way. I think that should be one of the things that we go after as a community. It's going to be a long haul. It's not going to be easy. We're going to be thought of as crazy, but we should repeal the Bank Secrecy Act.
Yeah. So me saying that opinion and being anti KYC AML was also used heavily in the courtroom to prove my intent to commit crimes. So the opinion you just espoused there, Marty, could be dangerous, but you're absolutely right. The AML and KYC regime brought about by the Bank Secrecy Act, extended in the 90s, extended yet again in the Patriot Act, is not fit for purpose. It doesn't do what they hope it would do. It stops almost no crime. The people who are committing the crimes know how to get around the system, know how to get through the AML and the KYC checks, and continue to commit those crimes. What AML and KYC is very successful at is keeping people out of the financial system, keeping law-abiding citizens who can't pass these checks, who don't have the right documents, who are underdocumented, or whatever the case may be, from access to the financial system. And that's what was so powerful about Bitcoin. They didn't need to do that. They could have into a financial system that was quicker, better, more superior, safer than the fiat system or the existing system. And the whole point of Samurai Wallet was to put the brakes on turning Bitcoin into just another tentacle of the existing financial system. And luckily, it hasn't become that yet, but it can, right? I think I talked about it on your podcast, Marty. It's not a divine gift from God that came out perfectly formed, right? That's not what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is software, and it requires software developers. It requires economists. It requires smart people to work on it and protect it from becoming a surveillance panopticon. Make it a beacon of human freedom. So absolutely, and let's definitely repeal BSA. I think a lot of people could get on board with that.
Yeah, definitely time. And, I'm going to have to bounce, Keonne, but, I do want to say that I mind block 927-604 a couple days ago. It's there for everybody to see. I've done dozens more over the past year. And, if Keonne is going to prison, then come get me too, because, I'm doing something way worse than he is. If that's the way the law is.
Before that, you wish it was you and not him?
Well, I don't wish it upon anybody.
Well, did you say wish it was that you wished it was yourself that they came after?
Yeah, I'd be the more obvious target, frankly. Yeah. I'm a lot closer to the line than he is. And so yeah, absolutely.
Well, I hope you're never in this situation, Bob. It's a pleasure meeting you. But if you are in this situation, if you find yourself in this situation, I know you would be a worthy fighter, a worthy opponent.
Well, thank you. God bless you, Keonne. We're rooting for you.
Too.
I'll do all I can. Sending a note to Representative Donald right now, who represents my area, to try to help, and we'll see what we can do. But God bless you. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
See you, Bob. Brandon Gentile, Mr. Hockey, fellow Bitcoin podcaster. How are you?
Great. How are you guys? Keonne, good to see you. We haven't met, but just appreciate the fight, and just awesome talk here. And run a pod as well. I've seen you doing the circuit. So we're streaming on a bunch of my channels here as well, just doing everything we can. And I think you guys nailed it. I mean, it's this country, and here in America at least, and all over the world obviously, but also Bitcoiners are getting a wake up call, right? That politics is a mirror of culture, and for too long, too many have been silent, and an evil exists because good people stand idly by and do nothing. And we just need to know, that's why I think things like this are so important. Because not that bad things aren't going to happen in life, but look at Bitcoiners turn out, and things happen when we know what's going on, and you see the ramifications or the importance of it. And you see so many people that say, Bitcoin won't work because government's going to shut it down, or this and that and the other thing, right? And you see the mentality that most people have, that we've been brainwashed for so long, to just tamed like sheep. And politics is downstream from culture, so it's dependent on a few people. Revolutionary War was a few percent of people that grabbed the musket. Here we're proverbially doing it, but they said, yeah, no, F off, we're not doing this anymore. And so it's the irate minority can make a massive impact. So I think this is just another great example. It sucks we have to keep doing stuff like this, as Ross or this or whatever, but at some point the tide shifts. So just you want to say thank you again, Keonne, what you guys are doing for privacy and freedom. And like what Marty said too, I have 4 little ones. You think about the world they're going to grow up in, all of our kids, our children, and you're just kind of beside yourself. You see the things happening in the world, and you're just like, wow, like these incentives are so broken, so backwards. Again, it's not going to be some utopia because of Bitcoin, but we're wildly off the tracks, and the people here are the ones fighting to bring it back on the track somehow. So again, just my hats off to you and what you're doing, brother. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you very much, and it's nice to meet you. And if you sent me a message asking me to do your podcast and I didn't respond, I'm sorry. I had so many coming in. I may not have seen it.
No, I never actually did. I've been posting a lot, doing stuff because there were so many every day I was seeing. I mean, Marty did it, Cedric did it. Yeah. I mean, I just want everyone that was doing it. So I was like, hey, I'm going to do some other things, some other ways, to try to.
That's good with me. Yeah, I was worried. I was thinking, oh man, did I like ghost this guy or leave him on red, or what did I do?
No. I knew you were just.
I've had so many come in. I've tried to respond to them all, but I may have missed a couple. So if I didn't respond to anyone, I'm sorry. But I've been doing my best to get on these. I think 9 hours of pure recording straight last week on a single day, which is a lot, which is a lot to do. But yeah, no, I appreciate that greatly, man. Thank you very much. We didn't do this to be martyrs. We didn't do this to go to jail. We did this because we wanted to build software that we thought Bitcoin deserved and that we wanted to use ourselves. It just so happens, you know, we caught the attention of the wrong type of people, DOJ, and they came down on us. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing now that so many people in the community are seeing what's going on, right? I spent over a year not being able to speak and not being able to tell people my side of the story, right? They only had one side of the story. I had to listen to, you know, 50 different prosecutors tell their side of the story about my life. And it's tough to not be able to say anything about it. Now I can, you know, sentencing is done. I can speak, and I've been speaking. And I think that's really what people needed. They needed to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And they need to, you know, because they heard, again, one side, and the government side is, I've called an indictment government fan fiction, because that's really what it is. You know, they come up with these theories and try to stretch everything the truth to fit their purposes. But people needed to hear my side and decide for themselves, do they think I'm telling the truth or not? It's the court of public opinion now. That's where we're at. And I think that's a battle that we're largely being successful at. So I appreciate your words. Thank you very much.
And if I can hop in here, I think it's important to highlight too, Keonne, that you really valued your privacy, and outside of your Twitter account weren't really in the public limelight. So it's actually been shocking to see you on so many shows personally over the last week. And so you've had something stripped from you, which is you tried to stay out of the public limelight for as you were building out Samourai. Now you've sort of been forced into it, and that's been part of you has been corrupted in a way.
It's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I tried to keep my identity as Keonne separate from Samourai Wallet. When we built it, we wanted Samourai Wallet to stand on its own reputation, not use my reputation or Bill's reputation, right? We both were in the wallet space for a long time already. We both had somewhat of a reputation in Bitcoin, but we felt Samourai Wallet should develop and build its own image. So yeah, I did so many interviews over the 10 years of operating Samourai Wallet, not one on camera, not one using my name as Keonne. And to be on all of these podcasts now is certainly strange. But the government took it all away, right? They published who I am, my name. They made my address publicly available, which I wasn't very appreciative of, but they did. And so, you know, you're just living with that now. And it's okay. You know, I can swallow that and say, okay, I'm now I am the public face of Samourai, right? Now the identities are connected. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to tell the story. And I think it's been largely successful in getting that story out there and having people connect to it. And, you know, I think I don't want to sound arrogant saying this, but I think people connect to the story because it's the truth, and people can identify the truth, right? If I'm sitting on here doing 8 hours a day of podcasts, speaking lies to them, they're going to figure it out pretty quickly. But because it's the truth that I am speaking, quite honestly, they pick up on that and they're drawn to it, and they realize that this is a serious thing. That what they had heard before from the government side of things really isn't adding up, right? Like, oh, he created this criminal empire to launder funds, but it took like 5 years of development to actually produce the piece of software that was the main element of the criminal activity. Like, why? Why, if I was a criminal, would I spend 5 years building out a non-custodial coin join? Why wouldn't I just make a custodial mixer like everyone else did, right? Like, so these little things that just don't add up in the government's accounting of events, which can be explained by, oh, wait, maybe he wasn't doing it to facilitate crime. Maybe he actually cares about privacy and cares about self-custody. And, you know, so I think that's the reason why people are hearing the message and it's resonating with them.
Yeah. Before we get to maybe some new blood, Shannon's here, and some mystery person or robot. Marty, do you feel a sense of responsibility? Do you feel like a freedom fighter as a podcaster and the ability to kind of surface voices like this at your level and a sort of sense of responsibility, or are we in the proverbial salon here of a revolution, and this is where the ideas are being sort of hashed out and causes are being supported?
I try not to think about it too much. Really, like, I mean, the podcast and the newsletter for the last 8 years, it's really just been, hey, here's what I'm interested in Bitcoin. Here's what I think is the right, are the right tools to use. Here's what I value, and if you like that, I'm going to write about it and talk about it. And I think it's attracted a lot of like-minded individuals and converted people who maybe didn't think that way in the past. And, responsibility, yeah, I guess now that the audience is bigger, I do, but I don't think much has changed. I think it's the same goal and the same mentality that I bring to it day in and day out. Like, again, like I truly think that we have the ability to rebuild the monetary system, the banking system, the payment system on top of Bitcoin. I think that's an incredible opportunity, and I think we should go after it full bore, because it is incredibly liberating for humanity at a time when we're losing our civil liberties left and right. So it's a fighting chance to preserve our inalienable rights as we continue to transition into the digital age. So I guess to your question, I feel responsibility. I don't think about it a lot, but I guess now that you're forcing me to think about it, I do think it's responsible to advocate for this stuff. Particularly, the responsibility I have is for my wife and my children. Really, at the end of the day, be a good example for them, and hopefully it resonates with people, and people recognize that this is a liberating technology, and we should be leading into it. It's not a bad thing. It's actually an incredibly beautiful and fabulous thing that Bitcoin exists. I guess my responsibility is help people realize that.
Is this Shannon Fitzgerald?
It is.
Hello. Something that struck me as really important to surface, and knock on wood, Keonne and Bill spend little to no time behind bars. But in the event that they do, it's really important that we keep the story alive. It's incumbent upon all of us to be active on social media. My background is social content strategy, digital media strategy. You do not have to have a huge following to make a difference. Just be consistent. Spend 10 or 15 minutes a day. Get it. Find pockets of conversation that's happening in the culture. It could be a reporter who you see, that they're talking about something that could be related, that this could be a point of interest for them. Get in the comments. Start trying to create a two-way conversation. Commenting is content. You don't have to post videos or graphics right? Just get in there and be active. Start siphoning out, social equity in the conversations that are happening organically. Keep the story alive. Use PARDONSAMOURAI hashtag just to keep things consistent. There's a lot you can do, even if you have 15 followers, because the quality of those followers are probably people they trust you. Share your thoughts, your quotes that you like that Keonne has said. Retweet articles. Make your own graphics. AI has a wide variety of tools that make this so easy. But keep the story alive. It's up to us to keep this going. This is the hard part now, is going to be sustaining it, because right now there's a ticking clock, a sense of urgency, because Keonne reports to jail Friday, Bill follows in January. But we may have to really keep this alive. So everybody can do something. You have more power than you think. So go at it. And also, Brandon, I'm a fellow hockey player, so if you ever want a game of shinny and you're in LA, let me know.
Canadian Bitcoin Conference. You got to come. USA versus Canada.
I was there.
Yeah, Cedric was there.
Brandon was skating circles around people. we have Parker A. Lewis here in Maryland Huddle. Parker, what's up? Thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, Keonne, we have never met, but our company co-signed the letter that you, as part of Samourai and 1031, put together, I think at the beginning of the beginning of 2024. And yeah, just wanted to join and voice my support. I've read the exact same guidance from FinCEN that I know that you guys have read, and it was crystal clear, not just from the guidance, but also from the private letter rulings that FinCEN had issued. And while our business at Zappride's very different than what you guys were building at Samourai, we write software, we take in XPubs, we facilitate transactions, but we're never in possession of funds. And if not just the government, but some prosecutors wanted to decide that we were operating an unlicensed money transmitter business, it would be the identical case. And that it's important for people to speak up in support of you guys, because I heard Larry on earlier. I was watching of just there's not a case, and it's basically making up law based on lawyers wanting to make examples of people and to set precedent, and that's not what our country's about. So just wanted to join and voice my support, and everybody that works on the team supports you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Parker. I appreciate that. I'm glad you brought up the letter. For the people who don't know, I think it was February of 2024. Samourai Wallet authored, with the help of a pretty deep legal team, a letter to FinCEN responding to some proposed rules that they were trying to come up with. And we thought that the rules went too far and would impact end users quite negatively. So we put together a letter putting our legal position forward, and many Bitcoin-based companies signed on to this letter. 1031, which Marty is representing their hat right now, they shared out this letter with their portfolio companies and other companies, and a lot of people signed on to this letter, and we submitted it to FinCEN. So I had just finished talking about the little inconsistencies in the government's theory and storytelling, that the only reason that we created Samourai Wallet was to facilitate crime and money laundering right from the get-go, right from the beginning. This was their theory. And how I was saying that there's just these little inconsistencies there. So I think one of the inconsistencies is, if we were setting up a illegal money laundering business, why in the world would we engage proactively with the Financial Crime Enforcement Network, right? The regulator in charge of combating illicit finance, if our whole goal was illicit finance. So these things just don't make any sense. That's not the actions that a criminal organization takes. They don't engage the regulator. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Parker. And also, you're right. Any business, literally any software business that the DOJ or rogue prosecutor wants to target can be targeted using the theories that they put forward in this case, the novel theories that they put forward in this case. So if you're doing something that remotely threatens power, they're going to come down on you like they did with us. So it's important to build up that immune system, to build that response up, so that if and when this happens to the next group of software developers, or the next miners, or the Lightning nodes, or the eCash mints, we're here to start the response much earlier than the response has been started in our case, right? We're immediately on them, and they know that they're not going to be getting away with this in the shadows. And I think that's really the takeaway that we need to have, that next time this happens, the community activates and goes all out in defense of our software developers, because it's so important, and our builders and our companies, because it's so important.
Yeah, I wish I could find it, but I just remember when I did my review of all of that, basically the statutes, the FinCEN guidance, the various different guidance from FinCEN, and the private letter rulings, but it's expressly clear that you had to be in control of funds. That the definition of money transmission required possession of funds and transmission, and that in the private letter rulings, they would a company would have a question, and they'd say this either was or wasn't, and there was one instance where they said, hey, you're actually not in possession, so therefore you're not a money transmitter. And private keys are sacred in Bitcoin. That is control. And if it's like if you want to write a new law, that's Congress. Congress write a new law and make it very clear what businesses that look a certain way, how they are to be treated. And if there's a gap in that, using novel theories to just make examples from what the DOJ wishes there to be an actual law in place, the absence of it is not okay to then just prosecute. And I know a lot of people in the Bitcoin world have read those same things, and it creates a lot of uncertainty. It creates uncertainty for everybody. And so it's not only that we need clarity, but in this case, you had clarity, people had clarity, and so it's a grave injustice.
Well, I'll open this up to everybody, anybody on the panel, but I mean, this really proves the point, right? That the money transmission regulations and statutes, it's all so clear. But this case, even though that was the plea, was really about the privacy issues associated with your transactions. And so what does that really say about the state of Bitcoin going forward and the state of development and the creation of privacy tools? And it seems to me that that's where we're really stepping on toes, and that's where the true issues are lying. How do you guys feel about that?
So I just want to finish. I just want to say one thing in response to Parker, and then I'll let everyone else talk. I have been talking a lot. But again, you're absolutely right on the clarity of FinCEN guidance, 2013, 2019, private letter guidance. Like it's so clear. No one thought that money transmission applied unless you took custody, right? That was the de facto understanding in the community since at least 2013. And in fact, again, I'm glad you brought this up. In fact, I don't know how familiar you are with the details of our case, but the government, the prosecutors in our case, 6 months before indictment, went to FinCEN and asked FinCEN explicitly, are Samourai wallet money transmitters? And FinCEN responded explicitly to our prosecutors, no, they don't take custody.
I thought I had seen that. I wasn't 100. That was my memory, but I wasn't as confident in it to say it.
Because it's nonsensical, right? That's why it's hard to believe, because it's nonsensical. But
so they had it crystal clear from FinCEN that we were not required to have a license because we were not money transmitters. The government then indicted us with one of the charges being unlicensed money transmission. Then they held that evidence, that letter that they got from FinCEN, they hid that from us for over a year while we were in the pretrial phase. So, you're absolutely right. It was clear. It was crystal clear from FinCEN, right? There was no question about it. The government knew, the prosecutor knew, and it didn't matter, right? They came after anyway, these novel new theories. And you hit the nail on the head. If they want to change the law, it has to come through Congress. If the legislature wants to make non-custodial software money transmitters, then write a law, get it passed, get it signed by the president. But that's not what they did here.
Right, because then if they did that, then you could challenge that in court, right?
It's right. Right.
The absence of it, you can't.
Yeah, then it becomes a legal battle of what does control mean,
or just
and
like,
what
is it
does custody
constitutional?
mean.
If it was,
right,
then we could have the First Amendment debate.
Yeah, absolutely right. So sorry for hijacking the answer to that question, but I wanted to get that out there because I thought it was important for the listeners and to know that fact.
You set up the question perfectly. I mean, that's that is what you had to plead to, but what really seems to be happening here is the fact that private transactions are under attack, and the privacy and the ability to censor is under, the creation of censorship is their agenda, right? So what do you guys think about that? I mean, this is something that Bitcoin has stood for a long time, that this is uncensorable money. This is unstoppable money. But if they're willing to go to this extent, where does that put us today?
When we got Maryland Hollow jumped in.
Yeah.
Nathan also jumped in, but Maryland Hollow, you want to share some words, maybe some thoughts on the question, and just or some love and support for Keone?
Sure. I'll start with Keone. My heart goes out to you and your family. So sorry you're in this position. My framing around all this is the systems that are set up for TradFi aren't sophisticated enough to basically work with the system and the ecosystem that's developing now with Bitcoin and its ecosystem. So ultimately, they're using you as an example, and it's a show of force. It's a grave injustice that's happening right now. It started with the Biden administration, and it's continued with the Trump administration. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be very telling whether Trump actually gives the pardon or not, as to where the direction of the country is going to be from a privacy perspective. And, I think my hat's off to everybody that's been participating and sharing the message. I do it more quietly just through kind of X, but been monitoring it basically for months now. And, I have a lot of hope and thought that Trump's going to pull through on this. But if he doesn't, I think we're in a very tough situation going forward, because ultimately what I believe is going to end up happening is the state is ultimately out to control and squash Bitcoin. I can't see it any other way outside of that. But, I think hopefully in the coming weeks, we're going to have clear direction as to a positive stance on that. So until that point comes, my prayers are with you and your family.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that greatly. The only thing I'll say to that is I don't think the state has any interest in destroying and squashing Bitcoin. I think the interest lies in capture. So I think they have a great interest in capturing Bitcoin, which is one and the same thing as destroying it, at least to me, right? If it becomes captured, then it's really not all that interesting. And that's why what we're building is so important, right? Focusing on the privacy to support censorship resistance, to keep Bitcoin decentralized through a variety of distributed miners, to build up the core tenet of non-custody, of self-custody, of reducing trusted third parties. These are all core Bitcoin tenets that are required to help prevent a state capture of the network. And if we give up on those tenets, the state will capture the network. And that's really bad, especially with lack of privacy, because Bitcoin is so transparent. It gives the state way more insight into the movement of funds, into your financial picture than even the fiat system. So it's essential that we focus on these.
And I do have one question for you. Is what is the moat basically that keeps the stuff that you were working on from a kid in a basement from around the world somewhere figuring it out over a period of time, or if AI advances enough and a coder has enough wherewithal to developing a decentralized version of what you guys were ultimately about ready to put out? Because I think that's ultimately what the threat was. But I mean,
yeah,
I can't imagine we're more than a couple years away from things like this ultimately being out and produced at, a high velocity. And if that's the case, decentralization is always going to win. You're not going to be able to beat this, especially if we start getting more decentralized AI so that they can essentially control, what we're using AI for. They're fighting a battle they can't win, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. But then it also becomes like a cultural battle. So if the culture broadly doesn't care and has that concept of, well, I have nothing to hide, so why do I need privacy? If that's like a cultural norm throughout Bitcoin, then we won't move fast enough. It really won't matter. But I don't think that we're there yet. And as a pure response to your question, we were way closer than a year or two away from decentralizing our tool. The main tool we built that the government had the biggest issue with was our CoinJoin implementation called Whirlpool. We were like 4 months away from decentralizing that, where where our one single point of failure was a single server that we ran that handled the anonymous communication between different clients, right? It passed messages. It couldn't read the messages, but it sent them out. We're literally months away from making every Bitcoin node that ran our software a coordinator server. There would have been thousands of them in the blink of an eye. And I truly believe that the government brought up the raid that they ended up doing on April 24th from what would have probably been later to April 24th, because they did not want us to get to that state where Whirlpool became decentralized. So we were close. What the good thing about that is our code is still out there. People made copies of our code base. It was always open source. So that code, all that work that we put into decentralizing Whirlpool still exists, and it's not going away. So someone will do it at some point, I imagine.
Maybe Nate Dogg.
Hello, gentlemen. It's good to see you again, Keonne.
Hey, man.
It's interesting times. I've been listening to the stream while getting the kids down, and I appreciate what everybody's doing here. I think it's really important work. And there was something that really stood out to me. I think we kind of touched on it a bit earlier. I think maybe it was Seb that brought it up, but it's amazing to me that in all this, the guys from Samourai have given us yet another gift, right? Beyond the privacy tech. Over the last year, Bitcoiners have basically been at each other's throats, and all of a sudden everybody is rallying together, focused on mission, focused on brand. We know what's really important, and we're pushing behind it. And it's absolutely beautiful and wonderful to see. And I think it means a lot to everybody what you've done and what's happening to you. And I think it's really important. So I kind of want to take a little bit of a moment here, just to pivot, if I may, just ever so slightly. Everything that everyone's been talking about is incredibly important, but we've got a large audience here. I was just taking a look. We've got, hundreds of people on X. We got them on YouTube. Everyone's piling in and everyone's showing their support. But Bitcoiners at their best is moments like this. And I think the state made a really, really bad calculation in going after you guys, because by using such excessive force and going to such an extreme, we detected the threat immediately, and now we've started to unify and coalesce behind this mission, and we're not going to stop until we get these guys out. And so what I'd like to do, if everyone's all right, is just put forward, as chat, I see you going off there, and if you can hear me, please, let me know there that you're hanging out with us. Everyone that's watching this stream right now and everyone that's participating in the stream right now has at the very least already signed the petition. I know that you have. And if you haven't, I don't know what you're waiting on. Stop right now, scan the QR code, and go and sign the petition. You have no excuse. It takes no time. It doesn't hurt you at all. But that's only going to get us so far. I saw we got thousands of people. I think last I looked, we're creeping up on 7,500 signatures there. I'm not sure if we've gone past that. We better get past that by the end of the night. Everybody here can be a little bit uncomfortable and do one extra thing for me. There's kind of two avenues I think we should encourage people to go out. One, think of one other person, whether it's like a celebrity, someone on Twitter you like, it's a friend, it's a neighbor. I want everyone watching the stream. And please, if you hear this message, if you acknowledge it, let me know in the chat. I want everyone watching this stream, because right now it's a call to action. We're here to actually try and get something done. This is not a morning. This is a time to actually get to work. So I want everyone watching this right now to reach out to one person, at least one person, right? When I'm done here, I'm going to go bug, what's his name? Former VP for the Libertarian Party. Wonderful dude. But he's got You Are the Power is his organization that helps people in these kind of similar situations, usually family related, but still people that are unjustly prosecuted. Or Spike Keonne. I'm going to bug Spike Keonne. So as soon as I'm off this stream, I'm going to be typing a message to Spike Keonne if he hasn't already been involved with this, and encourage him in his libertarian circles to get on board and help out. So I want everybody watching, please go message one person that you can think of, whether it's somebody that you follow, it's a friend, it's a neighbor. Encourage them to check out billandkeonne.org, sign the petition. We've got to spread this beyond ourselves. The Bitcoiners are here and they've all signed it. We got to go a little bit further. The other one is I just pulled it up and I wanted to check how accurate or how difficult it would be. Super easy. We've all got access to ChatGPT and we've all got access to Grok or one of these large language models. All I did just a second ago was ask this thing, please write me a letter to my congressman. I'm Canadian, so it doesn't know that. Please write me a letter to my congressman in support of the Samourai devs, that what's happening to them is basically unconstitutional. It's a travesty. You guys, at this point in time, it's not that hard. You can copy and paste directly from ChatGPT. You can ask Grok who your representative is and what their email address is and what their contact information is. You can copy and paste this letter, put your name on the end of it, and send it to them. We got this in front of President Trump. He's acknowledged it, which means he's probably been briefed on it at this point in time. I don't want us to feel like, I don't want this to be mourning that the deadline's coming up. If we hit Friday and it's not done yet, I don't want to let off the accelerator. I want everybody here to push as hard as they can. And so that's just kind of the message that I wanted to get out, that now is not the time to slow down. I know it might be uncomfortable to reach out to people. I know we're all kind of shy. We don't know what to write. Use Grok. Have it write a message for you. Start blasting it out. We need to go beyond Bitcoiners. We need to talk to libertarians, to gold bugs, to conservatives, to everybody, because everybody can get on board with this mission. What's happened here is a complete travesty. It's obvious that they've been completely railroaded by the Southern District of New York Court. We can't let up. So please, guys, call to action. Do something. Don't just watch. I know that you've already signed, and that's so helpful. But let's do one more thing.
Cheers. Well said, man.
Well said. Yeah. Cheers.
Well said, Nathan.
Thanks, Nate.
Of course, Dave.
By the way, I signed the petition. I hope everyone else up here did. It's, you know, it's like, it's we want our freedoms, right? And it's hard to kind of go onto these websites and do these things. I did it very easy, very fast, very simple. So I recommend it. I think I'm looking at the page. We're pretty close to 7,500. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, I just want to sort of +1 off of that, Nathan, because, you know, I think it's, and it goes back to the thread in the opening, which was by our brilliant leader here, in terms of the samurai warrior, Mr. Keonne, said, hey, I want this to be kind of happy, you know, like, I don't want this to be like a somber thing. I want this to be like, we're continuing to like boldly do this. And yeah, look, like this thing, hopefully we have a chance here. I told Keonne, like, remember we talked on, when did we record? Sunday? And we were like, yeah, you know, look, I don't know the likelihood of the timing of this. And then Monday, less than 24 hours after we had done that second interview, we have Trump talking about it. So like, look, there's a chance here. But to Nathan, to your point, like, we're trying to get something done here. So this is actually the time to push as hard as we can possibly push, to celebrate Keonne, push hard, and see if we can't get something done by Friday. But that was beautifully said, my friend. So
agreed. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely beautifully said. I just want to piggyback on it just briefly, Nate. Sign the petition on change.org. Change.org is a little sneaky. After you sign it, they ask you to donate, and a lot of people think they're donating to me and Bill. They're not. If you donate on change.org, you're just donating to change.org. So, you know, don't do that unless you really like change.org, then I guess do it. If you want to donate to Bill and myself, you'll find the link on billandkeonne.org, BILLANDKEONNE.org. There's a Give Send Go link there. That will go 50% to my wife Lauren and 50% to Bill's wife Sabrina. That's if you do want to support us financially, that's the way to do it. Don't donate on change.org. Just want to make that clear, because people have been donating to change.org. I think about $15,000 worth of donations have gone to change.org, and they're just a little sneaky. So keep that in mind.
Are you allowed to interact with Bitcoin, Keonne?
No, I'm glad you asked that. So part of my bail conditions are that I cannot indirectly or directly send or receive any crypto transaction. So we don't have a way to accept donations for in Bitcoin yet.
If I may, Keonne, sorry to interrupt. Ben saw that after our conversation too. I tweeted out, and I'll send it to you as well. Ben did set up a Bitcoin donation page that if anybody can only send Bitcoin. Sessions is collecting Bitcoin. We'll convert that all to fiat and then give it right to the Give Send Go.
Okay, that's awesome. I didn't ask you to do that.
You did not.
Though.
There was no affiliation, and we're in Canada, and he's in no way receiving any.
This is the first time I'm hearing of this. So for any prosecutors listening, that was not direct or indirect. It had nothing to do with that. So thank you. Awesome. But yeah, so I just can't do it right now. Once I surrender on Friday, and once Bill surrenders, I believe it's January 3rd, we'll try to get crypto or Bitcoin donations available at that point, where it's safer, and I won't have a prosecutor saying, "Oh, he violated bail conditions. There's a new charge." So we just wanted to be on the safe side of that. That's why I only give send go currently.
Can you talk to Bill now?
No, that's also a bail condition. I'm still not allowed to talk to Bill without lawyers present.
Yeah, just so people listening understand, there's bail conditions here. So he's basically waiting now to go serve the trial. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Keonne, but that's why we're in this in-between period. And part of those conditions were you can't do anything with Bitcoin. And so he's had to abide by that agreement. And that's why we're sort of waiting now to get to the 19th, see what happens. Hopefully we get the pardon. If we don't get the pardon, then it's like game plan shift, from 19th after, based on the fact that he will be then in, and then we can do some different things. But we can kind of get, I don't want to get ahead of our, get over our skis. I think right now it's just get the petition signed, continue to show the support, continue to be loud, continue to push. We still have until Friday. It's Tuesday, remember. We just heard from Trump. And so, look, I said publicly when I saw that Trump posted, I was very impressed. Keonne, I would love to get your thoughts on this. Like, I was very impressed, very surprised, kind of blown away on Monday. And look, it took Lutz, I think is the name of it. Lutz Sanders. And he said something to Trump, and that's what got it across the board. But I did not expect that to happen. Kind of, you know what I mean? So I think now we're kind of in a different place than we were even 24 hours ago.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. We kind of talked about it right at the top, but I again, if the president didn't want to answer that question or didn't care to answer it, he wouldn't have answered it. The fact that he did spend so much time answering it, I think, is a positive sign. Just reiterating what I already said, the president knows about a weaponized Department of Justice. One came after him. So putting that in combination with him now knowing our story, I think our chances are much better than they were a few days ago, right? Like, we're moving along. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it's still very likely that I'll report to prison on Friday. But I think that the possibility of a pardon is significantly better than it was just the day before yesterday. So I'm optimistic, cautiously.
Gentlemen, I have to bail out. Keonne, praying for you, brother.
Hey, thank you, Marty.
Everybody go sign the petition.
Thank you, Marty, for hopping on the
Marty.
call and everything you're doing. Appreciate it.
Marty.
See you guys.
See you, Marty.
Bye-bye.
All right, Marty's gone. We can get this party started.
Marty's been fantastic. I just want to say, because he's also sort of been, obviously early supporter, early user, early content around this thing, and then came back around during this heightened period, and he's been a big supporter behind the scenes as well. So
yeah, we have a tremendous group behind the scenes who've been helping so much. I'm very appreciative of all the work that people are doing and donating their time and energy and effort to this cause, which is just truly tremendous. I thank you. I know Bill thanks you. I haven't spoke to him for any prosecutors listening, but Bill's been one of my closest friends for well over a decade. Before this all happened, we spoke to each other every day, hours at a time. I know that he's appreciative of all the help that everyone is donating and putting out there. So, from both of us, I'm confident saying thank you to that. And I've seen some people say, well, don't forget about Bill, and this is all about Keonne and not about Bill. That couldn't be further from the truth. It's just the way Bill is. He doesn't like press. He doesn't like getting on camera. He doesn't like talking publicly. Ever since we created Samourai, I was always the one that did press and interviews and podcasts. I was the public voice. Bill was the man behind the throne. Like, he's an essential part to the whole operation. So everything that I'm doing is to raise awareness for me and Bill. We went through this. We built Samourai together. We were indicted together. We fought the case together. We took the deal together, and we will get pardoned together if a pardon is going to happen. So no one's forgetting Bill. I love Bill to death.
When a pardon, sorry.
Ride or die.
Still optimistic that
Ride or
you'll
die.
spend the night in jail, and obviously, it's going to be hard to be separated from your wife. But what has it been like to have the reduced communication with Bill? He's been such a big part of your life and a friend.
Yeah, that was tough. That was absolutely tough. Again, I spoke to Bill hours every day from essentially the moment I woke up. So it was getting used to not having that in your life anymore. It's tough, right? This is a very close friend. So yeah, it's been tough dealing with that. To know he's there, but I'm just not allowed to speak with him without lawyers present. You're talking about a $5,000 to $6,000 an hour conversation if you need to speak with him. We can't do that, right? Like that's not gonna be something that we can manage. So I'm hopeful that once this is all over, we'll be able to start speaking again. I need to find out the legality of actually inmate to inmate mail. I know it does happen; it's allowed, but you have to get approval. So I'm hopeful that once we're both inside, I'll be able to get approval for that, so that we could at least write each other. But who knows?
Can I just hang on that for 1 minute? Because it just takes me back to the inhumane nature of this whole situation. So disgusting that they had found all these different ways to get at you. And this is just another example of, this is your business partner and friend, arguably best friend. I know how it is. I've built things before. When you're in there with a co-founder for 10 years building stuff, that is a very, very close person in your life. That might be the closest person. I don't know how it was for you, but my co-founders, we are close, man. And it's like, to then say, oh, by the way, now you just can't talk to that person. And it's been how long? Almost 2 years of this. So they can just sort of do these things. And it's very tricky because it's pre-trial. So it's like, it's just happening. Like there's no backstop. There's no way for Keonne to fight anything. It just is what it is. And in this case, just one of many, many examples, one of the lawfare tactics is you can no longer talk to your friend. And I just think it's horrible. So I hope you guys get to
not only your friend, but your co-defendant in the criminal action they're taking against you. It's ridiculous, right? They should have severed the trials if they wanted to have that condition. But no, they wouldn't sever the trials. In fact, they denied the motion to sever the trial. And they still continued the bail condition of not being allowed to speak to my co-defendant in this matter. I don't know why, but that's just what they do. And they have all the power in this situation. You are powerless.
My marijuana dealer just joined the show.
What's up, everybody? Pleasure to be here.
What's up with Dax?
Yeah, Keonne, I spoke with you, interviewed you. It was a pleasure to have a conversation about the unfortunate events you're going through. And I just wanted to jump on and pay my respect, man. I've spent many years, most of my adult life, doing things the federal government doesn't like. I think I crossed a line you didn't. And so in some ways, quite obviously what's taking place with you is unjust. And just have a tremendous level of respect and admiration for the way that you've handled and conducted yourself. You've been in great spirits, like a little powerhouse, just jumping from one podcast to the other. Articulate, you look good and healthy. I'd probably be stressed, weathered away, and skinny by this point if I were you. So yeah, man, I'm impressed. And I think the attack on privacy is a real issue. You can't really have solid property rights without privacy rights. And it's unfortunate, but I do think, when I saw the clip from Trump, I was blown away. I could just absolutely shocked how impactful all the people's efforts have been. And I have a very hopeful feeling about it. In some ways, it's a very telling moment for what the next 10, 20, 30 years look like. I think Bitcoin is the biggest deal, arguably, in human history. It's obviously one of the most important things happening in the world today. And what happens in your situation, I think, is going to be very telling for what the future looks like for us. And yeah, man, I commend the shit out of you for taking it like a G, because you really have, man. So much respect to you and everybody involved who's participating in this revolution. This is a big deal.
When you were at your peak of growing marijuana, did you ever imagine 50 agents showing up at your house?
I had some close calls. Yes, I did. I had a close call. I got roped into some sub licensing deal with a breeder of a strain that was out of state, and I ended up
face to face with what I am absolutely convinced at this point, still to this day, was a DEA agent. I wrapped up all my shit, took all my paperwork, took it to my attorney, and I spent a few days in hiding. So I've been scared at times of getting in trouble, but I've never been facing anything like you are, Keone. Not even close.
Did you play through your mind having to explain that to your mom, your dad, your
big time
friends and family, and
yes,
being in the cage maybe?
Yeah, I got pulled over driving to a High Times Cup with an enormous amount of product, a whole litany, everything you could ever want, like a mobile dispensary in the middle of the night driving to Southern California from Humboldt County. And it was a powerful feeling, you know, getting pulled out of the vehicle, thinking like, oh, fuck, dude, all my houses, all my shit's getting raided. It turned out being okay, but yeah, I mean, I definitely lived a sketchy life there for a little while, but once again, it's nothing on the level that we have going on here. Not even close. This is a much bigger deal.
And what's crazy about it is that there's nothing, no criminal activity, not one communication from anyone bad with Keone, not one piece of evidence, no hard evidence whatsoever in this case, period. There just isn't. If you look at the details of the case, the plea is for conspiracy. It's something that was forced. What he's been to is a forced situation, and it really is disgusting, man, because you're talking about people like yourself that have done things that whatever, and Keone's looking at 5 years with no crime, with pure innocence, just building software. It's to me, it's the worst case that I've ever seen in my lifetime, and I believe, like you do, that Bitcoin is a once in a human history moment, and I think that's why we see the aggressive nature that we see being taken on Keone. So
yeah, and after, you know, listening to Keone's story a handful of times now, I suspect that the prosecuting team, the DOJ, FBI, thought that they were going to be able to link him with helping somebody launder their money, and I think at this point they're saving face. And
they didn't even have that. They just made up some random crap. Go ahead, Keone.
Yeah. So I think you're actually right about that. I think because the indictment, every attorney that we spoke to, whether we hired them or didn't, all kind of said the same thing about the indictment. They said this is really thin. This is a pretty flimsy case based off of this evidence. They must have something else. There must have more. And so my theory is that they had enough to get an indictment. And you know the old saying, you can indict a ham sandwich. Indictments are incredibly easy to get, right? It's a prosecutor and a grand jury and a judge. There's no defendant, there's no defense. And they're putting their side of the story forward, and they're going to get what they want most of the time. And I think they were 100% confident that once they got this indictment, once they got the search warrant, once they raided my place, took every single one of my electronic devices, all of my notes, they were going to find their smoking gun that linked me to a specific criminal activity, to some particular criminal, and they had the smoking gun where we were discussing laundering the funds. And they didn't find it because that never existed. So in the superseding indictment, which for your listeners is the government just has another go at it. They found some new evidence, so they rewrite the indictment and bring you a new one. In the superseding indictment, they still didn't have anything like that. They just upped the number of illicit activity that they say went through the software. It went from like 100 million to 200 million. And again, no smoking gun, no connection to actual crime. Lots of innuendo, lots of public statements made on Twitter that they can twist and you know, turn into making intent, but nothing, no meat and potatoes. And I think you're absolutely right. I think the dropping of the charge was to save face. And I think it's pretty likely that we would have had at trial a similar outcome to what Roman Storm had, which was a hung jury on money laundering and a conviction on money transmission, even though it's so absurd because we had the FinCEN guidance, we had all of the things on our side. People don't realize that the judge is in so much control of what the jury is going to hear. The judge decides whether the jury hears about FinCEN at all. The judge decides whether the jury hears that we had legal counsel that gave us advice about FinCEN. So, you know, ultimately, I think we did the right thing taking the deal. and everyone who's been in this situation, who has fought the Department of Justice. I mean, everyone I spoke to said you did the right thing taking the deal. They were going to railroad you. They were going to put you away for 25 years, no question. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that they really thought they were going to find that smoking gun, because in their heads there was no other possibility than that we were guilty, right? They knew it in their core that we were money launderers, and when they didn't find that evidence, I think it embarrassed them.
Yeah, I think that's half the reason they put on such a show when they raided you. And if they couldn't convict you, then what message does that send to the marketplace? Within no time, there would be tons of coin mixers, tons of privacy tech that goes against, obviously, everything that this establishment is fighting against. So, yeah, it's unfortunate you've been caught in the crosshairs. But, you know, I have a pretty hopeful feeling about it. Like I said, I was shocked to see Trump this morning on Twitter talking about your case. And so he's in an interesting position. He doesn't need to get reelected as president, but he's going to disappoint a lot of the libertarian and the Bitcoin community if he doesn't do something here. And the fact that he pardoned Ross Ulbricht, which I think in some ways is a harder pill for a normie to swallow than you getting pardoned. I think it's a much easier thing for somebody who doesn't understand what's happening to accept, like, hey, this guy made a wallet, he's being pardoned. So I'm hopeful. I think there's a lot of positive events that have taken place over there.
I just want to ask the group quickly on that note too. So maybe Brandon or Parker, you have some thoughts on this as well. In terms of keeping the pressure on Trump, what do you guys think is like the best tactic for actually making sure that this stays on his radar, it stays in front of him, that we actually do our best to push it forward? How do we as Bitcoiners in the community influence them?
I mean, my view, or Angela McCardle came to the Awesome Bit Devs last month, or maybe it was Awesome Bitcoin Club, and what she said was, and I know she was on here earlier, but to continue to put the pressure on because of the midterms, that like Trump's not on the ballot, but if the Republicans lose the House or Senate, and the House is more problematic, then that creates problems for him. And if he doesn't have the Bitcoiner voting bloc, then in her words, they're going to get destroyed at the ballot box. So even though he's not on the ballot, like keeping the pressure on, like if Bitcoiners don't turn out to support them, then they'll lose. That close. And so I think that message resonated to me, and I think that's, you know, there's like rifle shots of everyone that has relationships to lean on those relationships, but then in terms of public pressure, there's a lot riding on the midterms for Trump, even though he's not on the ballot.
I think this might be actually a good opportunity, Keonne, for you to talk for a minute about maybe what you think we can do or how we can interact as, you know, let's assume that you don't get the pardon and you go in on Friday, because I know you and I have talked about some things, but this is your last public appearance if you were to go in. And so I think one of the hardest things, because believe me, man, I'm going through this in my head. And I'm like, if you go in on Friday, you know, it hurts because you're amazing, right? Like you're the tip of the spear of this whole thing. This is your story, and you're such a good speaker, and you're tremendous. And so once you're gone, you're gone. And then it's just up to us to try to fight for you, you know, in your absence. So is there anything you want to talk about? I don't want to say anything for you, but you know, just in terms of keeping in touch, you know, I think that for us guys, it's about like, you know, we don't stop, right? Like Trump's going to do what he does. It's going to be, do we stop or not? Do we stop talking about it or not? So Keonne, I don't know if you have any words about that as your last public appearance, but just thinking about how we can continue to, like, I don't want you to feel like I think I'll put it this way. Ross came into our space. Remember, this was one of the biggest moments for me of this whole week was Ross came into an X space with us, and he started talking to Keonne very just matter of factly, you know, like, how are you feeling? Like, are you prepared to go in? Like, do you need anything? And I know, Keonne, you've done a lot of prep. But a couple things Ross said that have stuck with me this whole week have been, signing the petition, because that matters. And then letters, meaning sending communication to Keonne while he's in there, because the biggest thing that they're trying to do, even when the pretrial happens, it's isolation. That's one of the biggest weapons that they use, is isolation, to try to make someone go away. They use distraction. What's the next headline? What's the next news story? Everybody forget about Keonne. And that, I think, is a big deal here. Hopefully, look, that's why I think this next until Friday is such a big deal. Like, continue to put your foot down on the gas, everybody. This is important. This is the moment when we get to maybe hopefully avoid all of this, right? That would be such a blessing if we can just say, cool, we did it. But we also have to be prepared to continue to just work through it for the worst case scenario, 5 years, right? So Keonne, any thoughts like on that front?
Yeah, I mean, if the pardon doesn't happen, if I report and I'm in federal prison, I think what Shannon was saying earlier, keeping the message alive on socials is going to be important. It's going to be tough because we feel like we didn't win in getting the pardon, but keeping that pressure up and speaking about it keeps me and Bill alive, so to speak. I mean, I spoke to Ross privately after that call, and one of the things he kind of said, he said a lot, and I'm not going to say everything he's told me, but one thing he said that stuck with me is that whether you're going to prison for life like he did, or for 5 years like I am, in a way you die on the outside because you're not there. You're gone. You're now in the prison system. And they take that away from you. They take that life away from you. And if you're out there speaking on my behalf, because I won't be able to speak for myself to the same degree, you keep the person alive. And I think, and their thoughts alive. And I think that's an important thing. And I hope that people do that. To communicate with me, for the second part of your question, so communication will happen one of two ways. I will at some point write to my wife in my own words what I would like her to post on my behalf, and she will post that on my behalf to my X profile. So follow me there if you want to hear what I have to say. She won't be writing it; it will be me writing it, and so it will be something that I want to communicate publicly. That's communication from me to you. And if you want to communicate with me, it's very possible. Like Jesse said, Ross mentioned that letters are so important while you're inside because it's boring and lonely in there, right? The one thing that every single person who's been to federal prison has told me is the hardest part is the boredom. You're just bored. So getting letters and having this outside connection is something that is important. So we'll put the address on billandkeonne.org for both me and Bill if you want to write us letters. And speaking for myself, I will write you back. It might take a while because there's a limit to how many letters you can send out at any given time, and buy stamps, how many stamps you can buy. But I will respond to the letters I receive. And, I think that's a great way to communicate, and really the only way to communicate with me, two-way fashion, other than me broadcasting out through my wife.
If I may, guys, I also just looked up too, if we don't get that information right away. So it looks like we can search the Bureau of Prisons website, so bop.gov, to find inmate and their location. And then you can search for that specific facility and the inmate mail policy to figure out what the restrictions and rules are in terms of sending letters. And the other thing I just wanted to quickly point out for everybody here right now is if you go to house.gov/representatives, it has every single representative. You can find their email and their phone number. So maybe that's something to get cracking on later this week when you have a spare 20 minutes.
I also, thanks, Nathan. I also want to say publicly that Keonne and I. So I will be able to communicate with Keonne through email. So we're going to set that up through the system, through the jail system, so that I'm able to do that. And so there'll be communication both through his Twitter, his ex, his wife. I'll be connected with his wife. And so, my hope is that we can, like you said, Keone, keep you alive on the outside, right? And I think that's going to feel really good for you on the inside, knowing that you're being kept alive on the outside. Because this is a psychological thing more than anything else, in my estimation. And so, just so everybody knows, we will have those communication lines. It may not be, it's actually not going to be fast for sure. It'll be slow. That's a guarantee, because it will be clunky going through the jail system. But I think it's going to be a good strategy for us, Keone, and I hope that it helps. And I'm really glad. I couldn't be more happy to know that, you're talking to Ross and that you've got that kind of support from Ross and Lynn. So.
Yeah, day one is still day one. We got to keep him out of jail.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn this a little bit into a party before we roll out, but FinCEN in both 2013 and again in 2019 explicitly stated that you must take custody of Bitcoin to be a money transmitting business, and that non-custodial software did not count. DOJ Blanche memo in 2025 again reiterates this fact, and prosecutors asked FinCEN specifically if Samourai was doing something illegal, and they said no. And when the defense tried to bring these facts to light, they switched out the judge on the case.
Yeah,
it's horrendous. The system is broken. Justice is broken. I'm going to play the jingle, Christmas jingle from Shannon Fitzgerald, and then we'll roll out with a little bit more of a party vibe.
Hold on, I want to add something first real quick. As far as you dying on the outside, I would have to assume that if you're not pardoned by Friday and you step foot into a jail cell, this movement is going to grow by orders of magnitude. A lot of people are sitting on the sidelines, and I think that will change. So I would say that my assumption is that you're going to have more support if you actually step into a jail cell. People are not going to forget about you, especially with people like Jesse and Puncher. I mean, go down the list of all these incredible people. So yeah, you're not going to be forgotten.
Appreciate that, guys.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. Let's get this party going. Shannon Fitzgerald wrote a jingle.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna play that now.
We're gonna love you guys.
I'm laughing because she specifically told you not to credit her, which is hilarious.
This was the AI. This was
this was written by my friend.
This was by the robot.
All right, let me bring that up. All right, it's gonna take me a minute.
Oh, I can create filler, or anybody can. But I guess what's on the top of my mind while you're bringing something up that someone created is just, again, the organic kind of contributions. Oh, here we go. The organic contributions that have come out of this, with it's just like people's skill sets, whatever they do, they're like, hey, I did this. This is another example of that. But Cedric, are you ready? I'm
ready now. Here we go.
Okay. Here's to everybody who signed the petition tonight.
The keys or coins just help Bitcoin stay free. They wrote open source software for people doing right. But the DOJ came knocking and said this tool's a crime. Oh, pardon the samurai. They didn't do wrong, that's true. Privacy is not a crime. Encoded speech from me and you. Pardon the samurai. Let innovation stay. Don't jail the folks who build the tools just because bad guys play. They blame the builders of the road for how the cars were driven. That's not how justice works at all, or the rights we've all been given. Oh, pardon the samurai. They didn't do wrong, that's true. Privacy is not a crime. Encoded speech from me and you. Pardon the samurai. Let freedom ring and stay. Protect our rights, protect our code this Christmas. Do it the right way.
Well, we have a new jam, a new winter jam. We'll be playing that for the next 10 days at least for the holidays. But let's just keep making noise.
Yeah, dude.
And
Absolutely.
we have till Friday. This is on Trump's plate. I'm cautiously optimistic, and it will get louder if you have to go in on Friday. But that's all we can do. I mean, there's nothing really more important, I think, in Bitcoin than this right now. You know, maybe the silver lining is it's not the gains, it's the friends we make along the way. And
Amen.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I have my good old trusty Declaration and Constitution, pocket Constitution sitting here. So for the the many Americans, but also Canadians, Nathan, one of my favorite line is the end of the Declaration. And in Bitcoiners, I think this is maybe some of the last vestiges of the American Revolution. Let's just call it what it is. And the last line is, "And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor."
Yeah.
And that's really all there is at the end of the day, because we're all gonna be 6 feet under. Everyone, no one's getting out alive. So what's the marker we're leaving, and what are we here for at the end of the day? So just appreciate you, Keone, everything you're doing. Godspeed.
Let's get Keone out of here alive.
Yep.
Thank you, fellas. This has been tremendous. Keone, we wish you the best of luck and Godspeed. And anything we could do to help, let us know. It's good to know that you'll be communicating with us through whatever channels you can. We'll be looking to hear from you. We're just going to make as much noise as we can. That's what we do. So.
Keone, you're an inspiration to
it.
all Bitcoiners and everybody that came on this channel tonight and helped support him. We appreciate you greatly.
Yeah,
I definitely appreciate it. And I wanted to, like I said right at the beginning, let's not make this a somber affair. Let's treat this as a going away party. And we did, I think, and we had a lot of people. Some people I'm meeting for the first time, like Parker, like Larry, like Bob. I've never met. I know about these people, of course. Who doesn't? But I've never met them, so I was happy to finally meet and have great discussion. So yeah, thank you for putting this together. I'm sure logistically it was kind of a challenge getting this many people into a room, but I think it was well worth it, and I think the viewers and all the views. It looks like there's a lot of views on this thing. I think is saying something, right? People are interested in this. They want to hear. They want to keep this alive. And from what everyone has said, and I've been reading the comments. They're going to keep it alive, and that's comforting to know. So thanks again.
Yeah, I mean, the only challenge was trying to fit everyone in who wants to support you and make as much noise as possible. So we appreciate you. And we're here for you. This is just the beginning. I'm very optimistic, but you're in the line of fire for all of us. So we're here for you. I'll leave it. Do you have any parting words or Jess, Parker, Stacks, Nate?
I'll just say real quick. Keone's exhausted. Okay. He's put in so much effort to do this. This is his last public appearance. He's not supposed to go until Friday. We've heard from the president already. So we have between now and Friday. Okay. So let's continue to go hard. This guy deserves some time with his family. Okay. He's going to be with his family tomorrow. His Christmas is basically tomorrow in case he has to go in. So he's going to be with his loved ones. So just, when you get off this call or when you stop listening to this, go look at your loved one that's next to you, or your pet, or your family member, or your friend, and just think about it. Think about if you couldn't be with that person, if you're about to go behind bars for no reason. So let's do everything we can, guys, because I think we, like Cedric, I'm optimistic. I was so blown away, by the mention from the president of the United States. What was it, Keone? I woke up in the morning and I said, "Hey, the president is saying your name." That's what I texted to Keone. So let's keep it up, guys. I mean, I'm so proud of the Bitcoin coalition. I'm so proud of everybody for stepping up, for speaking up. There's so many unsung heroes, And Keonne, I love you, buddy. And we're here. We're working right beside you. We're gonna be beside you the whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I just wanna add one more thing. And I know that I know that everybody hanging out here and everybody who's come through has had the same thing too. The amount of times that I've had people ask me how they can work in Bitcoin, how they can support Bitcoin, the people that they find it and they want to get involved. Well, here's your chance. That song was great. You can make songs, you could make memes, you could write letters, you could take the videos and clip them, you could AI translate them into a different letter. This is the perfect opportunity for everybody. And I know we've all had a ton of them ask us that want to work, want to contribute, want to do something in Bitcoin, but don't have the skills to code, but want to do something. This is your something. This is that moment. Find something and do it.
Amen.
Right on.
Well,
Thank you, fellas. Godspeed, Keonne.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy
Thanks,
holidays.
Cheers.
Paul.
Thanks,
Cheers, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
We're gonna roll out.